here and do what I gotta do in the household before I go.
Yeah, I'm gonna go and get my brew as well. I'll be back in 10, 5.
All right.
So, what about the issue in my interview on the dogma debate when they brought up the cylinder of water and their argument that the water has more pressure at the bottom because gravity is pulling it down, and then it you know gradients the gradient goes up, so it's like the atmosphere. The way that I was going to answer it on the show was just that weight compounds upon whatever medium we're talking about. So whether or not it's sand, if you have, say, the same container filled with sand and you have another container the same size but it's filled with water, you would have the same phenomenon that the weight of the entire container is higher at the bottom simply because of weight. I mean, is that as simple as it is?
Right. Um, I didn't know. I've never heard that example before. Putting water in a cylinder as a argument against it. So I was kind of wondering where you would go with it because I was trying to think of it in my head, and I was like, we've been talking about the atmosphere itself and other things, and all right, so water in a cylinder, but I don't see how it would be any different than anything else. To be honest, um,
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
they
yeah,
asked
sure,
me, they were asking me about buoyancy and density, and they were saying, why do things fall? I mean, it's the same old song that we have on our show,
yeah,
and and so as soon as they're like, well, why does it go down? Why does it go down? It's just because it's heavy. And they said, well,
yeah,
then
and
what about water?
you
Water
told
gets
them
heavy,
like what other direction is it gonna go? It's not gonna go left. It's not gonna go right.
right?
So they're like, all right, so why does it go down? It's like,
Well, then they changed it to say, well, yeah, but water has more, um, it's more dense at the bottom, or is it? Because water, you can't compress water.
no,
You know what I mean? You can't. It doesn't. It doesn't. I guess that's it. It doesn't
No,
compress.
no, it doesn't become more dense, but you've still got more weight of it above you.
right.
So, do you know what I'm talking about, Nathan? Did you listen to the show or not? Or it doesn't matter if you did. But
I didn't listen to the show, but I am following along with what you're saying vaguely.
yeah, but so they're basically saying that if you've got a cylinder of water, the water at the bottom is more. It's not going to be. It's not going to be heavier, but that was where they were going. It's like gravity is pulling that down, and then it lessens as it goes
So,
up the cylinder.
but then it's right back to gravity's pulling that down harder than it's pulling it down further up. And to me, it just goes back to gravity just does what it wants to do
Right,
What are you
and that's
talking
kind of where
about?
I
Hold
went
on.
because
whenever
I
it wants to do
No,
it.
no, no, no,
Like,
no.
yeah,
You guys are getting confused with down. Down is a relative term. So just say that things are down because to us, in the medium we occupy, we've got a down if we travel through the air. That doesn't mean anything. It's a relative term. So to something else, something on the bottom of the ocean that's light but attached to the bottom of the ocean detaches itself and then floats up. To it, up is where you go when when you're no longer attached to the bottom of the ocean because of its density. But that's a relative term. To it, it's going to go up by natural effect. So does that mean that
right.
gravity is an upward force? Well, no, it's just relative to that particular item.
We're not live now, are we?
Right.
No.
no,
I agree. Gravity only works one way on their model. It doesn't work two ways.
Yeah.
That was a really good show. I didn't realise I kicked myself.
It was a good show. I'm glad we got to pummel Dan, and I'm glad all the chat was writhing and wriggling while they're like, "We don't need experiments. No, this is all right. No, that's all right. You don't need a hypothesis." Yeah, yeah, whatever.
I don't believe we've got people that like people are at the point where they're saying math is science. It's like
Yeah.
no, math is math, and science is science.
Yeah.
This is why you have a math
Rumpus.
class and a science class. They're two separate classes. How are people now saying math is science? Like, oh my god.
Did you notice that Rumpus is trying to distort the boundaries of where science is and where science is not?
Yeah.
Hello.
So far.
Fucking hell, Arwin. You're out of bed?
Hey, little monster. You climbing on me?
Sometimes the wrong things too, right?
Are you driving, Arwen?
You playing hide and seek? Is that what you're doing? Are you playing hide and seek? That's not a very good
Where's
hiding place.
Eleanor?
That's just covering your eyes. That's not really hiding.
Object permanence is a thing. Do you remember that one, Nathan?
I do. She's well beyond object permanence. Taught her that at 1.
Ballers don't understand object permanence. They think the sun's under your arse at the middle of the night.
I literally had to teach her that at 1 year old. 1 year old. Object permanence.
Yeah. Ballers don't understand object permanence. It's quite interesting how the dynamics of ballers actually works because, well, they tend to take stuff.
Could you describe what you mean by that? I don't know if I've heard that terminology. I'm sure I know what you mean, but I've never heard that terminology.
Object permanence is the idea that an object still exists just because you can't see it.
So for Eleanor, what it would mean is we take a little toy or something, like a little fuzzy toy, and you'd show it her and she'd touch it, but then you'd cup it in your hands so it's gone. So as far as she's concerned, it's disappeared. But obviously you then show her that it's still there. Do you see what I mean? So she understands that even though she can't see it, it still exists.
Oh.
The baller problems is that they assume that because you can see it, it must be a physical thing. Physicality assumption bias.
Yeah.
That is one of their main drives.
Somebody said in the chat the link didn't work, but I've just checked it and it's the same link as I posted. Saved last time, saved this time.
Hold on, I don't have to back chat yet.
Yeah, it was Alan B that said that.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah,
Okay, I do know.
I thought, really? I posted the link, same as I ever do. Just double checked it. It's absolutely right. I don't know why I'd say that. I think he just likes lying.
I do think he's a liar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's got
Alan
some
B
problems.
lies just for fun. Yeah.
Arwin, are you still in touch with Chris Monk? Arwin.
No,
Oh, I didn't hear you answer.
Yeah, he said no.
I haven't talked to him since he basically gave his lawyer reply to my questions about just the gyroscope thing, and it was so nonsensical. And I thought, okay, he chose to no longer be a genuine person. So yeah.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it is rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Now, joining us, we have The Plain Truth, Ranty Flat Earth, Chocolate Saying, Arwin, and Anthony. Good to have you all.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Yo.
So, are we going to do housekeeping again? Rattle through it?
I would, but it's a bit noisy here, so if anybody else wants to do it. Hey, Globe Fool, how you doing?
Hello,
I'll tell you what we'll
hello.
do.
Hello, hello.
How we going
Hey, hey, it's our upside down friend.
there? Yeah.
All right. So, are you upside? Do you think you're upside down to us over in England?
But
No,
we
I think
are.
he's in Australia, right?
Yeah.
That's
So
Do I
correct.
to
have you
England,
wrong?
he would be
Yeah,
like
okay.
he would almost be at what's the saying, Nathan? When you're the antipode, he'd almost be antipode to us. So he should, in theory, on their model, be upside down, to relative to us.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Nah, the phone didn't like it. It auto-corrected. How you doing? Is it Deluxe? Is that right?
It's Migsy. It's Migsy. Migsy from Australia. My name's Globe Philosophy.
Hello?
Hello, dude.
Yeah.
Ciao, Nathan.
Your volume is a kind of bit low.
How are you?
Very well. Good to have you.
Globe philosophy. Your volume is a bit low.
Okay.
I'll turn him up. It's
No,
all
Wait a
good.
second. Okay.
I don't think my volume's a bit too loud. Maybe
Okay.
No, it's all good.
My
I've got you.
voice
I've got you. It's all good.
Do you hear me, Nathan?
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Yes,
Now
we
we
hear
can
you.
hear you, but it was just a little bit soft. So it's good now.
You're good. So
Very good.
do you think? So do you think you're upside down to England being the opposite way to you, or do you think we're upside down to you?
I think don't we both drive on the same side of the road?
We do, I
know
believe.
I know that doesn't answer your question, but we're sort of like we're like we're your left hand, aren't we? Because we are descendants from aren't we the convicts? Did you guys send us here because we were misbehaving? Is that
So
what
they
happened?
tell us.
We're a bunch of left walkers.
So
Yes.
serious question: do you think that you're upside down to us, or we're upside down to you, or do you think we're on the same level relative to each other?
Yeah, look, obviously we're on a plane. We're
on a plane.
We're plain sailing. Yeah, like
Yeah, I agree.
we're not upside down to you. You're not upside down to us. We're on one level plane.
Yeah, I agree.
I like that.
That's
Common
why we
sense.
call you,
I love hearing it.
That's why we call you guys down under, though, right?
Yeah, true. That's probably where it comes from, doesn't it? Like the spherical Earth. Like
Yeah.
we're supposed to be like upside
Down
down
under.
or down under. Sounds good being down under. I like going down under. I mean,
No need. No need.
If you know what I mean.
if you know what I mean. Hey, that was an interesting conversation earlier on. I've been trying to get on for so long today, but I kept connecting with these weird dudes. I don't know what was happening. It was like
It's me. I'm here.
I think
oh,
Nathan
was
might
that
have.
you?
I think
Yes,
Nathan might have
it's
put the wrong
me.
link on by accident.
I don't know what's happening. There was about 10 video call from you. I don't know why on my handout. Come on,
I reckon Nathan's
anyway,
accidentally put
it's
the wrong
okay.
link on. He's not
So,
realised.
Anthony. So,
Yo.
Anthony, how does it happen? Do you sort of sit in a queue before you come on, or you've got to prove yourself? Because I was talking to this gentleman with the chessboard sort of icon thing. We were sort of connecting with each other. We connected with each other about 3 or 4 times at least before we got on. How does that happen?
I think what happens is Nathan puts the link out, and then the link gets followed by other people. But I think on that occasion, I think Nathan must have made a mistake because Alan said that the link didn't work as well. So
No, I double
I'm not
checked
quite
it.
sure
It
what
was-
happened.
No. If you guys are both, I assume both of you are on mobile devices, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, that sometimes happens. It's a glitch. It's not me. I double checked the link. The link was correct.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know why, but that's happened to me when I've tried to join people's show. They've sent me the link, and I try and join on my iPad, and it'll send me to a random room. And sometimes you'll get in there, and there's other random strangers in the room, and you're like, hello, this isn't the show.
It was
Yeah,
really,
that's definitely
Those are
happened.
the secret debates.
yeah.
It's like
It was
like a
really
YouTube
weird.
holding
I
pen
thought-
that I've got no control over.
I thought he was stalking me or something. It was so weird.
Nah,
Anyway,
that's
That
definitely
seems to be
happened
some kind of
before.
issue.
That's where we keep the pickies before we roast them.
It was really really interesting conversation actually. The show before about the distance to the sun. Just one thing on that. I always wondered why. Look, the sun comes up and it's fairly cool in the morning, and then in the space of 2 or 3 hours, it gets really hot. Maybe 4 hours. How much closer can the sun get in 4 hours when you're 93 million miles away? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Not getting any closer is what you're saying. If it's 93 million
Yeah,
miles
yeah.
away.
So how can it get so much hotter in such short period of time when it's 93 million miles away?
So what you're
Well,
saying is you feel like as soon as the sun comes up, we should feel that same amount of heat pretty
Yeah.
much the whole time because it's not, it's not moving away from us. It's right there.
Well,
Exactly.
So their
Right there
argument,
at
of course,
93
is
million
it's the
miles away, of
rotation of
course.
the
Right.
Earth and the
Well,
concentration of heat or
however
light
you want to
rays.
approach the sun, it's always just the
Hi, Zinda.
sunlight.
Hold on, Owen. Hi, Zinda. How you doing? Can you hear us? Hello.
Hi. I was yesterday on the show, but it already.
What's
Good
up,
to have you.
Cinder?
Anyway,
Wait,
I was,
I hear myself. Wait a moment.
we can
Good to have
hear you.
you.
I was making a point about the whole heat from the sun. The heat is actually generated and collected from daylight hitting the earth and the atmosphere locally. So it's heating up. The sun is not at any distance. It doesn't really matter. The only thing that really matters is how long the daylight is angular wise being exposed to the surface of the earth locally. And the longer this is, the more heat can be collected by it. And I don't think that the sun in the summer actually puts out, or the sunlight puts out more heat than in the winter. The sun is simply longer out. So there is more heat collected from daylight hitting the surface. I think that is what really causes the temperature difference. Because the sun doesn't have any distance. It doesn't matter how far away it is. The only thing that really matters is how long is daylight hitting the surface.
But it's closer. It's closer to us here in Australia in the summer than it is in the winter, and we know that because of just the angles of the shadows and the path that it takes as it.
No, apparently not.
crosses.
In summers, the
No,
sun's
but
supposed to be
that's
further away.
angular
Apparently.
relations.
Hold on. Anthony's got a point. Now, number one, I agree with you, which is to say that I observe the same thing here in the northern hemisphere. That your shadows get longer. The sun is obviously closer to the horizon as it takes its path across your visible field of view. So on that score, I'd agree with you. However, in the heliocentric model, it is absolutely the converse of that. It's actually, for you, closer, as contrary to logic as that would seem.
Sorry, could you repeat that, Nathan?
As far as my understanding is that in the heliocentric model, when we are in our summer, the northern summer, we're actually at our furthest point away from the sun in our path around it. We're angled towards it, giving us the summer, but we're still actually further away from the sun in actual distance according to them.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
It
they
just
say
it doesn't make sense.
they say like the orbit is elliptic, so it shifts like around 5 to 7 miles. So it gets a little bit closer and a little bit further, but it doesn't affect the seasons because they say it's hotter because the sun rays don't get straight to the Earth. They hit the Earth like a little bit different. So less sun rays hit the Earth. So it's winter, more sun rays hit the Earth. It's summer. It's like their explanation.
Because of the tilt.
Because of the tilt.
Yeah, because of the tilt.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Not because of where you are in the elliptical orbit of the sun.
No, it doesn't matter because like if the Earth is 95 million miles away from the sun, like 5 to 7 million miles don't really matter because it's not that much of a change compared to those
few million miles.
To those miles.
Few million miles, who cares?
Yeah. It doesn't matter, a few million miles,
Yeah, the tilt makes all the difference, but the 3 million miles difference doesn't make a difference.
But
right.
Do you agree that it doesn't really make any difference how big the sun appears to be? It's mostly about how long the light is exposed to the surface in the local area?
I'd say that's a very good logical deduction based purely on just going outside and watching what happens during the day, Alwyn. So yes, I can't really disagree with you. Hey, Alan.
Yeah, I believe that.
Hello, boys.
I did hear that the sun in Australia is supposed to be appearing to be very big during the winter. It looks like it's really big, really close in relation to the winter in the north of the equator.
Is that true?
I've heard this.
No, I'm asking the Australian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I haven't really noticed that, to be honest, Arwen. The only time the sun appears to be bigger is in sunrise. Is probably you're getting a bit of the effects, of I don't know, some of the effects that you get. Down when the sun's down low, you get a bit of the atmospheric effects. But
yeah, exactly. It's miraging. It always happens everywhere.
Other than that, I can't really say that. I mean, I don't sit there following the sun all day either. So,
well, I've heard it before being declared by Australians, like even 2 and 3 years ago, when they happened to drop by debates or flat Earth hangouts, and they'd say that the sun is up relatively short, but it seems to be very big, unusually big compared to the winters in the north of the equator.
Sounds a bit big, though, Owen.
Well, the rumors, at least, were very specific. So the sun in Australia seems to be very short during the winter, a short arc. So it doesn't come up very high off the horizon, but it just seems to be unusually big compared to, for example, the apparent sun size
it's
during
an
summer.
Illusion, like the lunar illusion, the moon illusion.
Yeah. Well, I live on the eastern coast. It's a town called Wollongong. It's about 100 kilometres south of Sydney, and we're sort of nestled between the ocean and the mountains. So, as the sun comes around, we lose it quite quickly in the evening. So it's really hard for us for me to make a judgment on what happens, because we sort of lose it really quickly because we're nestled down, in between the ocean and the mountains. So I can't see it go into the distance. I see it go over a mountain. The mountain right behind my house is probably a kilometre away. So I lose it very quickly. I can't really judge whether it's getting smaller as it gets further away from where I am. Anyway.
So what can we conclude then?
Australia I was just wondering if Australia is now getting into the spring season, basically, if that's starting up.
Pardon?
Is the spring season now starting in Australia?
Yes, it is. It's actually it was the last day of winter a couple of days ago. 2 or 3 days ago was the last day of winter.
So why shouldn't we have the last day of summer then for us?
September the 1st, Tony.
Yeah.
For us, it's the harvest.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I'm always
Yeah.
trying to find.
Yeah, actually, it was the 1st of September was the last. Yeah, was the first day of spring. Yeah.
Hey Nathan, we're approaching the 1 year anniversary of the Flat Earth debates.
Is that so?
Yeah.
I didn't
Remember?
realize. What was the first one? What was the date of the first one?
I
can't
think
remember.
it was like September 13 or 15. I'm not 100% sure. You'd have to check the logs.
No way. Wow, time really flies when you're having fun.
Shout out to the super chat.
So out to
Hey,
Ranty.
hey, Ranty. Hey, Ranty. So you haven't got the P1000 yet?
Still not got it yet.
Oh man, I reckon you wouldn't be sleeping right now. I reckon you'd be like looking at the mailbox every second.
I wanted to go to Wales this weekend with the modified P900 and the P1000 to see the Isle of Man again. So,
Okay.
but I don't think it'll be here. So the weather's crap anyway, so I'll get it done when I can.
Well, you'd be like a kid on Christmas Day, just waiting for it. Yeah.
Indeed. More ball crushing observations.
More smudges.
By the way, it's a funny icon you have there, Globe Philosophy.
Yeah, it is. You know, actually, Arwen, I'm a big Michael Jackson fan.
A what?
I love Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson, yeah.
Yeah. If you get into Michael Jackson, you know, beyond his music, you'll find that he rebelled against, you know, the powers to be, and that was his downfall. That was his downfall.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's a globe with a band-aid over it, but he was really into, you know, the planet in inverted commas. He really loved nature and that, and he thought that the world was broken, and that was from his Heal the World clip. Yeah.
No,
that's
he's been into conspiracy, trying to basically get into that from growing up like occultly hiding stuff, and he did become a lot more blatant and forward in his last couple of songs and everything. So that's
no, he unfortunately, to make it to the heights that he reached, you need to succumb to, you know, the powers that are, you know, and he eventually, it's like the mafia. Well, you can get in, but it's really hard to get out, and that's what he found. I think he found that he loved the fame. They perpetuated his talent to the point where he was a superstar that sold millions and millions of records, but there's always a cost. And when you get involved with the mafia, I think he found that out in the end. So yeah, I think
Jackson's been a puppet for life. He was a talented, fantastic musician and dancer, but he was like a media slave from little kid on. Just he was never really on his own ever. So
let's get it back onto flat Earth. But I do want to ask just a yes no question. I accept that Michael Jackson, the artist, is dead. But do you think that Michael Jackson, the person, is dead?
Yep.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look, how could any of us say that with any certainty? But, well, how could we prove that, Anthony?
Well, do you remember when they said some people say that Adolf Hitler didn't get killed in a bunker by committing suicide? Some people think that he lived his final days out in Argentina.
Yeah, but there's actually
you could read
evidence.
Is it possible that you could disguise yourself and live elsewhere?
But there's actual evidence for that. A lot of it, and Michael Jackson not so much.
Let me tell you just a short story about Michael Jackson. I don't know, it's not flat Earth related, but maybe it is in the long run. Michael Jackson, he started becoming bigger than the industry itself. He bought the Beatles catalog, so he owned the Beatles catalog. He bought it for $49 million or thereabouts. His catalog, his own catalog, was worth 75 million plus. He owned half of Sony, and he was growing, and they wanted to put a stop to that. So he was going to own Sony in the end, and he was going to bring out his own publishing and bring out music that was good and wholesome for
And free.
everybody, and for everybody to hear. You know, like music that warmed the soul. Not you haven't listened to the music that we've got on the radio now. You know, come on, it's ridiculous, and they had to stop him.
Can I just
That's
add something
what
to
they
that?
needed to do.
Agreed.
Just want to add something to that. So he bought the Beatles back catalogue because somebody gave him some very good advice. They said, you really want to invest in some of these back catalogues when they come available. You know, it'd be a really good idea to invest in those. And do you know who that person who gave him that advice was?
Yeah, that was Paul McCartney.
Correct.
Well, didn't Paul McCartney, didn't he play the victim card when he wanted the rights back?
Of course he did. Absolutely.
He outbid Paul McCartney.
Sounds like a baller, doesn't it? It's a baller tactic, that.
I just love the delicious irony of it. I think you should invest in back catalogues of things. Okay, Paul. I'm going to buy all of yours.
Michael Jackson was very good of trust. It's like he was like a kid. So
yeah, very good advice, Paul. I'll buy your back catalogue.
Hello guys, how are you?
Anyway, why I originally referenced that is because the icon with the crack across Africa, I thought it was kind of ironic, considering that there seems to actually be a crack roughly over there. I think it was going through Somalia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like a big fissure leading all the way to the sea. And it's like broken open very rapidly. It's like one of the most vivid tectonic effects in modern times. And
what on the globe?
The scientists say that Africa is going to split in two because of it eventually. But it's already there. There's pictures of this. I think it is real, at least.
So can anybody link this back to flat Earth at all? Is this there's got to be a segue in there somewhere.
Well, there is some tectonics going on. That is the whole thing with the flat Earth and the molten iron core is still tectonic activity, tectonic plates. Like, what is that? How does that actually work even on a flat Earth? It's very fascinating and mysterious to me. There's still some unresolved design issues, basically, with what is going on with tectonics.
We're not making any assertions about tectonic plates on a flat Earth, right?
Yeah, but there seems to be indications that tectonics exist. So how does that actually even theoretically work on a flat Earth? That's something I can't really figure out a way to get that in a logical order somehow. I don't know how it fits.
Just makes
tectonics clearly originally just drift on the core or on some molten lava. So how does tectonics actually work? It's very...
I don't think it works any on a flat Earth than what it does on a ball Earth. I think it's still physically the same. The cause is just different.
Yeah, but I get that.
There's no buts. There's no buts.
Why is it tectonics? Is it actually floating on some liquid layer like lava? What is going on? Why is it
to me, it would actually make more sense on a flat Earth than a ball.
Everything does, but
right.
But still, it's the molten part. Why are there plates that are floating apparently and pushing into each other? Because that's a telltale sign that it is floating on something, probably. Yeah, it's still something to figure out.
No, we don't know if it's floating on anything, Arwen.
Well, if it's on tectonic plates, kind of automatically suggests that.
But
because of the way they function, breaking apart, pushing into each other, that is...
Yeah, but there's
only because it has that name.
Tectonic plates, but have we actually got any proof that plates are moving
Yeah, yeah, we do.
What? Where's the proof?
Well,
I think in
the thing
Iceland-
about the thing is the plate aspect. Like, how does this really work? But there seems to be just parts shifting apart, causing fissures in specific type of locations. And these
Seems to be, or
locations,
is.
these patterns seem to correlate with the shapes of the tectonic plates as described.
Sure,
To
but
me,
that doesn't mean it's
that brings
that
in the
doesn't prove
question
shape in
of
any way.
what do they call it when they say all the continents were connected and then they
that's
split
Pangea.
apart. Pangea,
Yeah, but that was nonsense.
Like
that
yeah, I know. I'm thinking that that's what that is, but
yeah,
I'm
that's
trying
what
to.
they say.
Yeah, it's
That is definitely not true. That's ridiculous. That's like how the Earth formed from a lava ball into that. That's how that they theorized that out. But that's not true. I'm pretty sure about that. But there is tectonic activity.
So what?
Somehow,
It
for
doesn't
some
deny the
reason.
shape of the Earth in any
No,
way.
there's earthly activity. There's earthly activity where we have earthquakes, like the recent earthquake.
Can someone boot Simon down out the
is
back
that
chat?
tectonic?
Hello, hold on. Someone boot Simon down out the back chat before he snipes
Zinder.
everyone.
Sorry, I
H,
was
please.
gone for a while. Sorry. In Iceland, there is like the rift, and supposedly this is a place where two plates drift away from each other, and you could measure it if you have enough patience, I guess. You know, I don't really know how it works on a flat Earth, because maybe there's like it's like a container, and then there's like this fluid in it, this magma, and those plates drift on each other and go into
Why would
each
it be any
other. But
different on
on
the
a
flat
globe Earth model, it would make sense, wouldn't it?
Not really. Why would it be any different on a flat Earth? The explanation given on a ball can be basically said the same on a flat.
Well, on a ball, you have a lot of magma in it, and you know the diameter of the Earth is like, I don't know, 17,000 kilometers or something like that. So you have a lot of fluid rising up, and the plate, like, you know, the fluid rises up and moves this a little bit around. But you know, I didn't really look into the explanation. But you know, I guess the people who figured this out know more about this than me, so I would have to watch a little bit more into it. But as who was it, Choco already knows, yesterday I joined this debate after the stream was over, and still a little bit undecided in which direction I should go, flat Earth or stay on the globe Earth model.
How did you find the channel, the debate channel?
Well, there's like, how long was it ago? Like 1 month ago or so. I watched some like those, how's it called? Like many videos put into one from other people, and there was looking into flat Earth, but before I didn't really interested me. So I went watching those videos, and I've seen like a clip from your show, you saying something, and then I've seen like, all right, I can go join the show and talk to actually the people instead of only watching YouTube videos.
That's
so
it.
yeah,
Interactivity.
now I'm here.
Cool.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hola.
Good. I'm actually going to start a new hangout because the entire panel got sniped after I said please kick Simon down at the back chat. So my apologies. There'll be a short intermission while I do that.
How do we?
Sorry, he's going to say how do I rejoin? I'll repost the link in the info box below the video in about 2 or 3 minutes time. Hopefully you heard that. If not, somebody in the chat will hopefully let you know.
It's because the ballers don't like it when we get certain points across, and this is definitely one of the points that they don't like us being attacking. Where's the evidence for, you know, the distance to the sun? I'm assuming that went through, Nath.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't like it when certain things are being pushed. And one of the things is like it's a simple question: 93 million miles. We all know that number, but where does it actually come from? And the rumpus claims the whole body of science, Nathan. Well, where is that? Why is it so difficult for people to put the finger on? Not that difficult, and we're not expected to know the answers to these questions about all the whole body of science. But people like the rumpus and No Simon Dan, you guys are. You should be able to pull it out immediately, and it doesn't seem to happen. My question is why?
Right, the Hangout is now active. I'll just stick a few links in Skype for those who were with us previously. Hopefully we'll get a few guests for the last half an hour of the show. I'll stick it in Master B first. Anybody who's in a Master B chat, there's the link. Had a message from Barbie McGill yesterday. I haven't spoken to her for ages. I mentioned that she was brought up by George Hattingnick. Haven't had a response from her yet.
Well, I hope that guy rejoins, because how he found the channel is quite cool. It worked on presumably Celebrate Truth's channel or one of the other channels where they do multiple videos all in one. That's quite cool.
Do you want to jump on the Hangout, Anthony, as opposed to in the Skype? Hold on. I'll just give you the link in Skype.
Okay.
Did you get that? Did that come through?
It did, but I'm in the middle of a Command and Conquer game, and I'm just about to attack, so I'll have to wait 5 minutes while I kill everybody or get killed.
Critically important stuff.
Yes, I've built up my platoon now. I'm just about to go on the offensive, and Nathan says, "Can you go into the other hangout?" And I'm like, "I can't come out of the game at the minute, Nathan. I'm sorry."
Hello, Christopher.
Hey, Nathan.
Yo.
Hello, Chocolate.
What's up?
Simon Dan's not done what we asked him to.
I take it the whole hangout got sniped.
It did.
Yeah.
I let it ride for a little bit longer though, because there was a guest that was in that was talking to Anthony. So my apologies to the guys that were in that I just kicked. Like I say, the hangout got sniped.
And to think that Ranty asked for a pay rise the other day, and Nathan said no because you're not doing your job properly. You're kicking people when you shouldn't be kicking, and you're not kicking the people that should. Ranty, you're not getting a pay rise until you sort out this little bit of sniping.
So, did that guy just drop? Or did he get kicked out by a sniper?
Oh, that was weird.
Hey, Ranty.
Hiya.
Did you hear what I said about that pay rise, Ranty?
I did, yeah. The problem was I'm actually working on a video as well, so I wasn't paying attention to the back door. I thought Arwin had it.
I didn't see anyone. Yeah, Nathan was just asking, and then we all got sniped.
Don't worry.
Somebody showed up
like
for like a second. Like I saw somebody's icon show up for like 1 second. It disappeared, and then that's when everybody got sniped.
Right, so if you guys who were on the show before want to rejoin, the link is now in the info box below the video. Just click make sure you mute before you join. Hopefully we can have a reasonable show without a complete troll fest.
Contain the beasts.
The beasties who don't like us pointing out that science hasn't been adhered to in any way, shape or form when it comes to heliocentric beliefs. It is simply a religion.
Not. I mean, let's just reassert it, because it's good to tell people about how there is no science. People like the Rumpus claim that the whole body of science is with them. Well, if it is, where is this body of science? Simple question. Where did they get the number from? I don't know where they get it from. I'm told it's based on an assumption by Christine Huygens, but that recent science is able to do it better. Well, when presented with the story, doesn't seem to have much evidence to support it, and that was the question. The science is what we asked for, not the story. We know the story. It's the science, and he didn't answer that. And to be fair, he did it nice, and credit was given for him doing a nice job and a nice presentation. And I'm sure all his 50,000 subs all think that he debunked this thing. I mean, the title of the video was Flat Earther given a test of what was it, a science experiment or an astronomy experiment or something like that. No,
Zinda and Globe.
I'm back.
Hello again.
So I like the link before was like on the old Hangout, so I had to refresh sometimes. Now I'm here.
Hey,
Hi.
thanks for having us back.
Yeah. So I already talked to Choco and
Hold
Orwin
on a second. Hold
yesterday,
on
I
one
guess.
second. Hold on. How you doing, Warning? Can you hear us?
Pretty good. How are you?
Very good. Good to have you. Sorry, carry on, Globe. What is your name? Globe what?
I talked to Choco and Orwin yesterday, I guess. Can you how's it called? Is it true, Choco? What was it you and Orwin yesterday? I talked to?
No, I don't think Arwen was there.
Not? Oh, right.
No, I
But
think
someone
it
else was there. Who was
Travis.
there? Oh, Travis, alright. Yeah.
It could have been
Yeah,
Apollo.
so you more or
Apollo?
less know my position on Flat Earth, right?
Was it Apollo that was on the panel? Maybe Apollo? Because he was on the last show, I think.
Yeah,
I don't think
so. Yeah. So I've heard the very first part of your stream, and then I went AFK for a while. And there you said something like the Earth isn't a closed system, right?
Well,
because
we never said that.
things go out, and things go out of the Earth, things come into the Earth.
Well, we didn't say that. We were citing conspiracy cats that said it's definitely an open system. We lose gases to space every day. I'll get that link and I'll play it so you can hear him say it.
The only people that really could genuinely know that is NASA, because as far as I know, no one else has sent a rocket into space.
Sure, but they could be able to prove it, though, right? It's just a picture. Pictures from space.
Sorry, this makes no difference. There's no need to ascertain whether or not Earth, the sphere Earth bullshit is an open or closed system. It is an open system.
So, per definition, I can post to the site later because I don't know if it's really like from the government or like dictionary stuff. So here's written like second thermodynamic systems, and then they're like closed system exchange energy by not matter with an outside system. Though they are typically portions of larger systems, they are not in complete contact. So then they write the Earth is essentially a closed system. It obtains lots of energy from the sun, but the exchange of matter with the outside almost zero. But and then it's like under it like isolated system, and they write the isolated system exchanges zero matter, zero energy, nothing. So per definition, a closed system would be the Earth if it was true, So just to call out your points there. So closed system doesn't mean anything comes in or nothing goes out. Yeah.
Sorry,
But you see what the problem is, right?
Hold on. What's your point? Hold on, just before you do, Chocolate. What's the point you're making? I don't follow.
So just to say that the people, the scientists say it's a closed system, but things still can come in or go out, but it's so few matter that it doesn't matter.
Sorry, by definition, if matter leaves, it is open.
Yeah.
Right. So it seems to me you're saying it is closed, but a little bit open. Is that what you're saying?
That is what is written down here. I just say what to clarify the point of the scientists.
Scientists. So I don't care what men in white coats say. It's very clear in the definition. If matter leaves, it's open. If matter doesn't leave, it's closed. Or if nothing leaves, it's isolated.
Yeah, so a little bit leaves, a little bit comes back, and they are talking about matter, right? A little bit of matter, because energy, of course, we get a lot of energy from the sun. So it's only about matter when you talk about a closed system. If you talk about an isolated system, it's about everything. I don't know where they get this explanation from, or what structure it has to explain other things, but it's written down here. So I would have to look into it a little bit more to determine if they are right or not.
Right about what?
So right about the other stuff they claim then about closed and open system. because a closed system, let's say an aquarium, isn't closed when you add matter, like add food to it, right?
I'm sorry, closed system, when you come to an aquarium, that would be referring to water though, wouldn't it?
Or no, just putting in food. So
Yes,
if you just let it like this,
sorry, bear with me,
of course
bear with
the
me,
fish are
bear
going
with
to
me,
die at
bear with
some
me.
point.
Sorry, are you putting food into the water?
Yeah.
Oh, right,
In
well,
the
right,
aquarium,
well, that's
yes.
not comparable. That's not analogous to Earth, unfortunately, because we're talking about gas pressure and whether or not that would be contained. There are no molecular bonds in gas pressure. Oh, the stream's
Yeah,
gone
but I
offline.
just was talking about matter leaving or entering the closed system, not about gas stuff. Because according to them, gas always leaves Earth. Like a lot of gas leaves Earth per second, because the solar wind supposedly blows away the air molecules into space. So, I mean,
Well,
I'm just talking about matter leaving or entering the Earth.
Well,
Yes,
that's
if
what
it
would
leaves or
happen,
enters,
you know,
it's
if there was a
open.
vacuum.
Sorry?
If it leaves or enters,
Yeah.
it's open.
I think he's mixing up being contained by the walls of the container and calling that a closed system.
So they are talking about larger portions here, because like they say open systems can exchange both matter and energy
No.
with an outside system.
No,
they are portions
that's
of
not the
larger
definition of an open
systems
system.
in intimate contact with larger system. Your body is an open system because we exchange a lot of matter with the outside, right?
Right, so we're
If
open.
Matter is exchanged, it's open. We agree.
So I can post the. Can you read the wait? Can you read the chat, the group chat, or are you on the phone? Can you Can you see the link I just posted? Here's the definition they say it's about. I'm still
Hello.
not really in.
Hello,
Alright.
how you doing?
Hey, when
Good,
this
thanks.
when this exchange is done, can I bring up an experiment if you have time, Nathan?
Yeah.
Sure.
Very good. I'm done here with this here. I just posted it out.
Okay, I just wanted to bring up this because this is what somebody claimed on my screen, that this can prove Earth curvature, but the thing is, I don't know how it could be measured. It's the idea of two plumb bobs hanging from tripods a little way away from each other. But so basically the idea is that the top of the cable hanging the plumb bob should be further away from each other than the bottom. And also the perpendicular lines to these plumb lines should intersect in the middle like this. Whereas if it was a flat plane, they would be the same line. But I don't really know how this could be measured. I don't really, because that's what they claimed, but I don't know how.
Fair enough. I've put it on screen. I'm sure you'll get a few opinions out of that.
Like the horizontal yellow lines, which would measure the top of the plumb lines and the bottoms, maybe that could be measured if you had some type of laser beam that, can zoom really far and could tell you how far away it is. But other than a laser, I don't really know how. And the thing with the laser is these people are claiming that like gravity bends light. I mean, nobody really knows what happens with that.
Well, gravity, according to the heliocentric model and Einstein, blah blah blah, does bend light, but the Earth doesn't really have enough gravity to influence that we can measure it. So the claim about gravity bends light, you can just forget on a globe Earth. So it should be, it should be the same as on a flat Earth, that gravity doesn't, or like nothing bends light, right?
Gravity is the magic answer for everything, man.
Yeah.
It does whatever it wants.
So
Gravity
you
is
can.
not supposed to be bending light. It's mostly atmospheric.
It scatters, right? It doesn't really bend it, the atmosphere.
No,
Because
gravity
doesn't-
doesn't influence light at all.
No. It bends light according to what we're told.
Yeah, but there's
Yeah.
not even evidence for this.
According to Einstein, gravity bends light if there's a lot of gravity, like a black hole. Or
That's
something like that. But those are things you can't really prove.
It's an
on
unproven
a
concept.
day-to-day experiment, because we wouldn't have the.
So how can we accept the statement then that gravity does anything if you can't prove it? And you just said
we don't have to accept it.
You don't have to.
But
we don't have to accept it.
We're expected to, because we're
No,
more.
we don't have to accept it. Sorry, I misspoke. Not my first language, so we don't have to accept the statement. It's clear.
But we're expected to, though, right? If we don't, we're morons.
Well, according to some people, yes.
Hold on, you're all talking over him. Chocolate, just let him get a reply out.
No, according to many people, of course, you are a moron if you don't accept it. But according to other people, no. So just listen to the people who you think talk the truth.
That's the thing with the globe heads, so to speak, is if anybody questions the shape of the Earth, they call them an idiot. And yet I ask them, how do you prove to me beyond a reasonable doubt that this globe model is true? And they can't do it. They have to piece together multiple sort of weak arguments, and then they expect that to be solid proof, but it isn't.
You were talking about the laser, right? So if you had a laser, and you would take a boat and drive out a really, really big lake, you should, like, after, I don't know how many miles, like 4 miles or so, you should see that the laser isn't at exact the same point anymore as it was before on the boat, right? If you have to wait a little bit and see, because of the waves, stuff like that, to adjust this. But this would be an experiment you could do if you had the right equipment.
Have you done it?
No, but I should do it once so I can prove it for myself. Because according to them, light doesn't get really bent to the Earth's gravity. And this is what Einstein said, this is what all the NASA scientists say. So I should prove to myself that, if I take a laser, the Earth is flat, or is it round? So this would be the first experiment I should do.
Not an experiment.
Yeah. Exactly. No, that'll be a good test that you can do. It's been done many times before. You only have to Google it. It's been done many times before.
Right. Which one? Or can you post it to it? Or just type in laser experiment or something like that?
Yeah, you can do it yourself. Just type it in. You can have a look at a few different, not experiments, because they're not experiments, but tests that have been done. But if you want to do it yourself, you can do it yourself.
Yeah. So I would have to trust, of course, the people who have done it. But if a lot of individuals from both opinions would do the same test, and I can see the results of them and all agree with each other, I have no reason to doubt it. But still, it's better because it's like a really important matter to do it by yourself.
Do it yourself. Do it yourself. That's the best way.
So the thing is, first I had to buy a laser that is really expensive. But then I had to travel at a place with a lake that big, because in Switzerland, where I live right now, we don't have such big lakes. The waves would interrupt the laser so much that those centimeters the Earth should bend, you wouldn't see. So it would take some years to prepare it.
Have you got a camera?
Yeah, just just mobile phone camera. So I have to buy one, of course. A good camera, like some $1,000 or something like that.
Okay, so you're a little bit behind the 8 ball. You need to possibly buy a P900 or something like that if you want to do some observations over, a distance of 10 kilometers or 10 miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, look, you're on the right track. So you're sorry, I missed it. Do you believe in the ball Earth?
I'm really skeptic about it. but I still have to figure it out because there are some problems I still can't figure out when I read the official explanation.
Nathan, have the conversation about Coriolis with him and ask him what his views are.
Which part?
Yeah, I didn't look into it since you said it. I didn't have really time for it. Yeah, we talked a little bit about the Coriolis effect.
Do you want the conversation or?
If you want, you can repeat your main points. I don't really remember about it.
Okay, I mean, basically, you've got the assertion that you have a apparent deflection of things like bullets or a pendulum because the Earth is rotating independently of the atmosphere. So the example of the Coriolis effect that people can easily understand is if you sit on a roundabout and you throw a ball from the roundabout, when you release the ball, it travels in a straight line. However, because you continue to rotate independently of the ball, it appears to take a curved path from your position on the rotating roundabout. So there's two separate reference planes. The roundabout turning underneath the atmosphere and the atmosphere. As the ball enters the atmosphere, it travels in a straight line, but from your position it seems to curve. So that is in essence the Coriolis effect. Now, if that is the case, and it is asserted to be the case with Earth, how is it possible that you can't just take off in a helicopter, hover, and let the Earth turn underneath you? Also, why is it not the case that when you travel east to west, west to east, they aren't completely different duration times, given that the Earth is rotating underneath the aeroplane?
Yeah, so I remember talking to them about it, and my point was, are you sure that, according to globe earthers, the atmosphere doesn't just travel at the same speed with us?
Well, if it did, it did, you wouldn't have the Coriolis effect. So the roundabout and the ball, you throw the ball from the roundabout. Because the atmosphere is not travelling with the roundabout, you see an apparent deflection. So if you are to assert that the atmosphere travels with the Earth, then there is no apparent deflection because there aren't two separate reference frames.
All right. Yeah, I get your point, and I couldn't really explain that because like cannonballs, for example. This was this was example too. If you shoot a cannonball, like according to them, the cannonball should like travel to one side, right? So it should lean to the right or lean to the left, depending on which hemisphere you are, like south of the equator or north of the equator. But I've never seen it happening, or like never seen an experiment about it happening, or like those, this ammunition they use that travels like 5-7 miles without something speeding it up.
Yeah, that's the what's the thingy called? That
railgun.
Railgun.
Yeah, stuff like that. So when they shoot, they really should they should take the rotation of the Earth into their calculation. But I've never heard they do that. So yeah, this is also one point that I can't explain it to myself on a globe Earth.
Yeah, I don't see how. I mean, everybody claims that like the army teaches people to take that into consideration for snipers, but I just don't really believe it because, like Nathan said, the planes, jets would have to take that into account big time, and it doesn't seem that they are. They try to explain it away, say that the thrust is just constantly making corrections, but it doesn't make sense to me.
So yeah, we've got someone like Rumpus in the chat who basically says it's like when you jump up and down, you're not going to have the Earth turn underneath you. Well, if that's the case, then you only have one reference frame, Rumpus. To have an apparent deflection, you need two reference frames. If you're going to assert that the atmosphere travels in lockstep, then you don't have Coriolis effect, because there's only one reference frame.
Yep.
Well, I have to look more into the Coriolis effect and what the exact explanation is, because it really sounds a bit fishy to me right now.
Sure. Well, when you look for Coriolis effect, most of the initial results you will find on Google are specifically in reference to Earth-based Coriolis effect, Well, the Coriolis effect is real. It's not something that's arbitrarily assigned to Earth. It's just a real effect of having two separate reference frames, easily demonstrable with a ball and a roundabout. The roundabout turns, the atmosphere doesn't turn, therefore you have Coriolis. So if you scale it up to Earth and go, the roundabout, Earth, turns, the atmosphere turns with it, well then you don't have Coriolis effect. You need it to leave the reference frame that's spinning and enter a separate reference frame for there to be an apparent deflection. If the Earth is travelling with the atmosphere, there is not a second reference frame for it to travel through. There's one reference frame, therefore no Coriolis.
Yeah, makes kind of sense.
There is another contradiction that comes from that. If the Earth's spinning on its axis, you can calculate the tangential speed at the equator. It's around about 1,000 miles an hour. Now, what the ballers do, or what the heliocentric guys do, is they say, well, it's relative to the size of the Earth. That's a very small movement, but it's still 1,000 miles an hour. Now, if you have a tangential speed of 1,000 miles an hour on something that's huge, that is going to create a centrifugal force because things will be flung outwards, particularly the lighter things. And we know that if we look at a centrifuge, and we do this daily, you look at a centrifuge, you can separate the heavier gases from the lighter gases with a centrifuge, which we would have if the Earth was actually spinning. So the question then becomes, well, if the Earth is spinning, why are the gases that are in the atmosphere the way that we see them? In other words, the densest layer is on the surface. Shouldn't the densest layer be pushed out because of centrifugal forces? And we would be left with the lighter stuff at the surface. But obviously we see it the opposite way around. That is a direct contradiction of the idea that the Earth's spinning. What's the explanation for that? Gravity. Well,
gravity.
That convenient explanation again.
So we've got it on screen right now. So you've got the top, which is the ball. Once it's released, it travels in a straight line through the atmosphere, the second frame of reference. The initial frame of reference being the rotating roundabout, which is on this lower disc. So the initial reference frame continues to rotate. Once the ball leaves that reference frame and enters the atmosphere, it's travelling in a straight line, but it appears to curve from you on the initial reference frame, from your vantage point. The Coriolis effect is very well detailed. It's very simple to understand. You have two reference frames, one rotating, one non-rotating. Once the item leaves the rotating reference frame and you continue to rotate underneath, you will see an apparent curve to the path of that straight line that the ball takes. That apparent deflection can only be there if the ball enters a second reference frame. If the atmosphere was being carried along with this roundabout, absolute nonsense, then there wouldn't be a second reference frame for the ball to enter.
I just looked a little bit into the Coriolis effect, and I formulated it on Google, like if it has something to do with the atmosphere, because one of the guys who watched said it has nothing to do with the atmosphere, and supposedly the official explanation is the Coriolis effect has nothing to do with the atmosphere, they say. But I still have to look into it, what exactly it is. So, for example, hurricanes on the northern and southern hemisphere, they rotate at another rotation, right? One is clockwise, the other is counterclockwise.
Nah, that's not true though.
They
Hurricanes
say,
are both ways in both hemispheres.
Sorry, I'll just repeat this again. So any examples of Earth-based Coriolis using hurricanes to confuse and dilute what Coriolis is irrelevant to me. All that's relevant is what Coriolis is. What Coriolis is one thing leaving a rotating reference frame and entering a second reference frame, causing an apparent curve. Only apparent, not really a curve, an apparent curve. So if you're going to assert that hurricanes are being affected by this, no. The Coriolis effect is an apparent drift caused by the item leaving a rotating reference frame, entering a non-rotating frame. Once that happens, it will appear to curve from your vantage point. So that's got sod all to do with hurricanes. Sod all to do with water going down drains as well. Nothing to do with any of that. Only an apparent, not actual, apparent curved path.
I think if it's true and it can be measured, then somebody with the equipment should be able to go to like around the equator and do some tests with a sniper rifle or something, or artillery or something like that. And then they should be able to go to the North Pole area and test it there. And there should be dramatically different results because of how the Earth would be spinning.
Yeah, and those tests would have been done already. We would have had all of those results written down somewhere because that's what human beings do. But we don't have any of that.
Yeah, I mean, it would pretty much have to be like the military or some well-equipped scientists, but I don't know if such an experiment exists because I don't think people go to the North Pole often anyway.
Well, exactly. You'd expect the military to be all over this because it's their bread and butter. You can't kill somebody at 1,000, 2,000, meters or yards. If you don't take it into account, if it's moving.
They don't. If you want to check out a decent interview about this, check out Mark Sargent's Strange World number 23, I believe it is, which is a missile instructor's take on this based on his actual experience. Very, very good interview. It's had tens of thousands of views. Strange World number 23, I think it is. I'll double check that before the end of the show. I'm just about to round out, so I'll double check that if you guys can talk amongst yourselves, just so I do get the right number.
Was it a military guy, or I'm trying to look it up?
Yeah. He's had quite a few military guys go on there. And the one thing they say is that there's always direct line of sight. I mean, I've heard one of those guys say they were painting targets at 70, 80 miles away. Direct line of sight. You can't hit something if you can't target it.
That's right. Because you'd be pissing in the wind.
Basically. You can't aim something at a mirage or a hologram if it's being loomed up behind a curve. How the hell are you going to hit that?
Yeah,
and the military is not into just wasting ammunition firing it into the air.
And on the ocean as well. On the ocean, the military are shooting, 100 miles away, 200 miles away. They're not going to guess. They're shooting at a target that they can see.
Yeah. How does a railgun work around a curve? Come on.
Supposedly there's two different effects too. One of them is Coriolis, which is just the spin, but the other effect is that if you're in, let's say, the northern hemisphere, something north of you is going to be spinning slower than something south because of the nature of how a ball would spin,
Nathan, before you round out, can I join back on Skype? I want to play something that's a contradiction.
Yeah, sure. It's Strange World number 21. So I'll post the link in the info box, not in the info box, in the chat right now. So if you want to check out that interview, Strange World number 21.
Okay.
You guys see the interview he has with a vacuum expert. He has an interview. I can't tell you what number it was, but he had an interview with a vacuum expert who completely basically just debunked how the ISS is supposedly working and how all of that seals would work in space.
He does it with the seals, right?
It wouldn't be too hard to do.
No, because he's saying, I mean, he's a vacuum expert here on Earth, and he's talking about how he was talking about the valves and all the O-rings and all these things that would have to be replaced consistently to maintain that vacuum seal. And he's like, and who's doing that up there?
Industrial valve and seal expert, I think it was called, something like that.
But yeah, something like that.
They also claim to get hit by micrometeorites. They say like in 2013 they got hit and it punched a hole through a solar panel. And they get hit all the time. There's no way that could be safe because they could all just be killed at any second by a meteor flying through the air.
Right.
So right at the start, when the new guy joined, we were talking about open and closed systems. Nathan, if you don't mind presenting my screen, I'd like to just.
You are.
I'd like to just play this because this is like a direct contradiction, and it makes it woolly, and it makes it to the point where I have to ask the question, well, which one is it? So I've just got a picture on screen. It just says, what is a system? A system is a group of parts that function together. Obviously, our world. Open versus closed. Open. Parts can be either lost from or added to the system. And then you got closed. All parts exist in precise amounts, and nothing can be lost or added. All systems require an energy source to drive them, in our case, the sun. And then there's the citation for where I've got the picture from. I've given another example, a second definition of a closed system. There's loads of them. You can get them all up. I've just picked them at random. A region that is isolated from its surroundings by a boundary that admits no transfer of matter or energy across it. Now, if whatever we're in, be it open or closed, this is two pieces of evidence that contradict each other. So on the one hand, we've got Conspiracy Cats, who's just been talking about how we must live on a sphere because of gas pressure, and next to a vacuum of space and all this. But listen to what he says.
Would sit on top of that, and we would have a density gradient. And even the winds and the convection currents wouldn't mix it up the way we've got it now. All gases have the potential to reach all heights, just in different proportions, depending on the temperature. Now, what I'll add, though, is that a very small proportion of those atoms will have enough energy to escape the Earth's gravitational field into the vacuum of space. That does happen. We lose atmosphere to space every single second.
So he's clearly saying that we'll lose matter to space every single second, right? So by definition, if it can transfer matter, then it can't be a closed system. But now listen to the science guy, Bill Nye. This is one of these puppets, right? But he's supposed to be a heliocentric guy. So what's this one all about?
Now, one thing I really want your generation to embrace is that the Earth is a closed system. We cannot leave the Earth. There's no place to go. The Earth is a...
So what I'm getting at is, on the one hand, we're told it's open because matter is lost to space every day. On the other hand, we're told that it's closed. We can't get out of here. There's no place to go. So what is it? Is it open or is it closed?
Very simple answer. It's open. If we're leaving, if matter leaves, it is, by definition, an open system. Which begs the question, how can you have gas pressure without a container? That's why we asked that question. If you think you're travelling to the moon and travelling to Mars and satellites are leaving Earth, then you have an open system. So how do you have gas pressure without a container? And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you hated the show, then you know exactly what to do. But if you like the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you've not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!